Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. We're playing a Pale Draconian Conjurer of Hepliocalcana. In the last episode, we finished up Elf 1 and 2, minus the Hall of Blades, which I believe we mentioned we don't plan to go to. It's just extra risk for not really much gain. We already have an excellent weapon of the right type. I don't really see us getting any humongous advantage out of this. And so now the next question is, should we go to Elf 3? There could be some good loot down there. Alternatively, we could go back to Depths or something like that, but Depths 3 was pretty nasty. I think I would rather do Elf 3 than Depths 3. We've already done a lot of vaults, right? But not all of it? Yeah. What does Vaults 3 look like right now? We did finish up Vaults 3. There's no, like, lurking horrors left. So we could do Vaults 4. But I think since we're already in Elf, like, Elf 3 is a similar level of difficulty when approached correctly, I think, to Vaults 4. And should have higher rewards. In the loot will be generally better. I want to keep an eye out, make sure we don't charge into the end vault before we're ready. So I'm double checking these walls. They look like rock, but I want to make sure they actually are rock, because if they're stone, then I'd like to change, go a different direction first. Ooh, enchant armor. I guess we're already enchanted all the way up. Are there any cloaks I should be wearing or something? Oh, there's a ruined scarf we left in Spider. Interesting. I don't know what kinds of egos a scarf can have these days. I'm pretty happy with repel missiles, but I can imagine there might be some other things I would be happy with as well. I'm worried about waking this guy up. Obviously, I'm going to Elf 3, like I'm going to fight some elves. It's not, so I think I can handle this guy. I'm just worried about him having a bunch of friends that I'm not expecting, and making sure that I don't put myself into a position that I can't handle. So like a thing I could do is just cast Death Channel. That would be loud enough to wake him up, but I don't know who else it would wake up. And also I'm noticing that I'm like very hungry, which is fine, but if I'm going to cast like Regen and Death Channel, that'll probably take me down to near starving, and I'll maybe need a food break at some point. But I don't think that's a huge deal. So I think I'm just going to step closer and Death Channel and Regen. And then tab him. Like, should be fine. As it happened, there were no other elves nearby, or not very nearby anyway. Let's eat something since I remember it now. Not too badly poisoned. I'll just regen and keep going. There's some argument to be made for resting, since just one elf ghost is not really worth pushing along while below full health and MP, but we weren't below by enough that it really, like, we're all just pushing along. We are still at full health before we run into the next real enemy, right? So it's fine. How long has International had haste? Has that been a while? Yeah, it has been a while. I just forgot about it. There was a vampiric longsword. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. They're hard to see. They look a lot like weapons on the ground. I think the glyphs for them point the other way around, so if you know the colors of things, you can figure all that out based on like, this is colored like a short sword, but it's pointing the wrong way as if it were arrows or something like that, and then you would know, but I don't. At any rate, none of this is any good at all. The +9 Arbalest could be alright if we were into that sort of thing, but we already have plenty of ways to deal damage. We don't want to spend a bunch of experience getting it, and money getting another one. Not that the money is a huge deal. We do have plenty. It's more the experience investment that buying that would entail that causes me to not buy it. As I've said a number of times in previous playthroughs, and perhaps this one, I subscribe to the philosophy of, like, if it is something that you think will help you at all right now, and you have enough money that it is possible for you to buy it, then I'd usually think that you should. Rather than saying, well, it's not helping that much and I want to save my money. Your money is there to keep you alive. And if you save it for a time when it will have better leverage, it might eventually have no leverage at all because you die before you can spend it. And I think that I sort of overdo that philosophy a little bit. Compared to some other good players I know, I was looking at some statistics, and this was a while ago, so like I'm just remembering. They seem relevant now, but I didn't look at them recently. You can look at a few statistics that tell you like something about how good a player is, and two that are interesting are in what percent of games does a player enter lair? That's a good measure of like how good you are at the early game, right? It's an okay measure of it anyway. And another interesting statistic is in games where you reached lair, how often do you win the game? Right? Those are both things that are kind of interesting to measure, and that's sort of a measure of late game ability. You know, it's pretty fuzzy, but you could say that's what it is. And anyway, I mentioned some other good players that I know. Like I don't remember who it was. Gamma Funk was involved, I'm sure, but I don't remember the numbers for him specifically versus for anyone else specifically. But my percent of games in which I get to lair, where the hell is this thing? Up there, okay. I get to lair somewhat more often than these other good players whose stats I was... Well, that's not quite what this statistic measured. So, okay, there's these two things you can measure, which are how often you get to lair and how often you win once you've gotten to lair. And of course, like, for better players, these numbers tend to be strongly correlated, right? If you are a good player, you tend to get to lair more often, and having gotten to lair, you tend to win more often. But what can be interesting to study is... Well, study is a strong word. Interesting to look at is how are those two numbers related? Someone who tends to, like, let's say you get to lair a third of the time, and you win half of your games after lair. You can sort of say, okay, well, I'm a little bit better in the late game, right, than I am in the early game. So you can sort of form a ratio of those things, which is like how good you are at the early game versus the late game, sort of. And of course, this isn't about skill necessarily, as about like, you know. So anyway, my ratio is weighted somewhat more heavily towards early game than almost any of the players that we looked at. You know, there's this saying that when you reach lair, you've won the game. If you're a good player. The only real challenges are... Yeah, by the way, Asterian's kind of a spooky guy. We want to be a little careful with him. The only real challenges are before lair. When, you know, any random event could kill you. By the time you get to lair, you have enough control over the development of your character that you should be ready to face whatever threats you might find in lair. And you have a lot more scope for ability to run away and so on. So it was a bit of a surprise that I, a reasonably good player, tend to die more often post-lair than pre-lair. And I think it's because I sort of overdo this focus on the now perspective that I have. So I think I would improve a tiny bit, at least, if I focused less on the early game. Let's just Death Channel. It wouldn't be bad to have an Asterian ghost. Oh, did he just blow himself up? Nice. Well, that's Mockleb for you. Demon Blade of Venom is pretty sweet, but of course we're not that interested in it with all our polearm training. Anyway, I don't remember what specific thing I was thinking of that had caused me to think of that again. But just an interesting note that... Oh, that's handy to have. That that I preach often about, like, oh right, it was shops, right? If it will help you at all and you have enough money that is legal for you to buy it, then you should buy it, is my philosophy. And I was thinking that really, like, because of the statistics that I had looked up some time ago, I think that I'm actually overdoing that, and it's probably not best to apply this as broadly as I do. I'm probably overdoing it. I'm a good enough player to survive making some long-term decisions in the early game, and not favoring the immediate, but still survive, right? So maybe I should be more... Do Wands of Disintegration still exist? What's the deal with those? Okay, so it no longer digs walls. Got it. There was threats of a change to that, and I couldn't remember if they had happened. So that's a big deal for Elf, right? Where the whole idea is to dig a kill hole. Is there some way that we can use these stone walls to dig a kill hole anyway? You can kind of imagine something like this, right? Around the sort of... You imagine that this... Oops. Lost focus there. You can imagine that this wall sort of extends out this way, and then, like, you could dig a corridor that goes like this, and then like this. But monsters could still blink behind you from here to here. That's the problem with not having disintegration anymore. You kind of need stone walls in two different directions to be able to exert that kind of control, which nobody ever gives you. So a proper kill hole here is not really a thing you can make anymore. Is this one with water? No. Okay. But what I do want to back up, lure them out as much as I can. Oh, there goes Asterion. Oh well. Like there's a corridor at least here. Oh, well, we're in the abyss again. That was this game where that happened before, right? I forget where it was. Can you come back, International? Thank you. What was I talking about before we got banished? Oh, I was going to try to lure them back to a corridor, and like it's not a kill hole, but it's better than fighting in the open. Oh, and we're in Abyss 3 already, of course. Well, that's exciting. Deep banishment certainly did make things more interesting. It used to be the case that you were always banished to Abyss 1, and so for a powerful character in the late game, banishment was no longer a threat. Like the Abyss 1 is easier than the stuff you're fighting in the late game. Oh, it's a Draconian. Hello. And so being banished was not really a threat. They changed that so that the more powerful monsters banish you deeper into the Abyss. And, you know, like, Abyss is still, in general, not usually that hard. But, well, I tried healing her. What happened? Didn't I hit AA? And I don't see anything here about her. Oh, I hit AA instead of AB. I recalled her. That didn't help at all. I meant to heal her. Okay. So this Executioner is a bit of a concern. We have some evocables that could help, perhaps, like a box of beasts or a sack of spiders would be not uncalled for. We could quite possibly just tab him, but in the meantime, more monsters are closing in. So I think it's fine to spend some resources on this. What's their armor like? Because Scattershot could be pretty effective on them if they had low armor. I wasn't sure. I think I'll go ahead and just use a sack of spiders now to start. Nothing happens. Let's try to back up so that he can't really easily 2-on-1 me. Sack of Spiders again is on L. Nothing happens again. This is rude. Well, let's back up, regen. This guy is hitting way harder than I expected. Okay. I don't have a lot of teleport, but apparently this guy is causing me some serious trouble. Yeah. So let's blink. I could use Azukubu's armor. It's been a long time, I guess, since I fought an Executioner at a point where my defenses were low enough that they actually hurt. They attack a lot of times. They're very fast. But I feel like normally by the time I'm fighting Executioners, I have enough armor that they're not an issue. Whereas here I have like enough armor and evasion that I would be very comfortable in lair. But beyond that, I'm a bit fragile. So this guy is certainly a problem, and I need to not just like blink and hope for the best, because it's gonna be quite a while before he's like immune to hexing, basically. Yeah. Okay. It's gonna be quite a while before this teleport kicks in, and so we need to be well. Okay, haste. I have a lot of haste. That will improve any situation. And now if I blink away, I'm guaranteed to get at least a few steps away from the Executioner. Good. Okay, he is hasted. So he will catch up to me pretty quick. But now I can like quaff some heal wounds and blink away again. Wow, look at him. He's so fast. He's like, we're both hasted, but he's moving twice as fast as I am still. So I think about double player speed must be what their speed is. Let's try another blink. It seems to be working. This Thrashing Horror is about to put a little wrench in the works, though. Okay, now we've got another good angle where blinks can really only take us pretty far away. They can only take us away from the Executioner. They can't like blink us to the other side of him. So we'll at least gain a little distance with a blink here. Nice. That was a great blink. Ah, there goes our teleport. All right. So Abyss 3, not a great place. I would love to leave, is my opinion. But all you can really do is stay regenerating and keep moving. Now, this staircase presents a choice. Certainly in Abyss 4, you will find the exit sooner, right? I guess the other thing to remember is that eventually you can force an exit by just killing enough monsters. So maybe for weakish monsters, I should be sort of aiming for them to just gain a little experience without adding much risk. But I don't know, the longer you stand still anywhere, the more quickly monsters pile up on you. So I'm not really inclined to go picking fights with anything, even if it is pretty easy. Plus I need to regen, right? So just stay away from monsters. Abyss 4 is usually the deepest I'm comfortable going. But I think this character is probably better off just staying on Abyss 3. Clearly, that Executioner showed that we were not really fit to be here. On the other hand, I've had to backtrack, which means more monsters have spawned in this area in the meantime. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just regen up a bit. Kill this guy to sort of make progress towards the exit appearing. And wait on this staircase so that I can disappear when monsters do spawn. But in the meantime, regenerate health. Alright, an Ancient Zyme. I'll just go so I don't get sick. Come on back, please. Potions of Brilliance. That's another thing to consider. Most of my spells are not really relevant in Abyss, so okay, fine. But elsewhere, Having... Yeah, of course, I got tormented there, but at least I did it while I wasn't being attacked by monsters. The lurking horrors can catch up to you pretty easily, so when you have a chance to take the torment while it's going to be low impact, I think you should go for it. Anyway, but I have 11 potions of brilliance, which is like more than I typically see in a whole game, I think. Whoa. Okay, this is a very suspicious... thing to see, a landmark. There's got to be something down there. Not necessarily the rune. It could just be a random vault, you know, imported from Pandemonium or something. But if I head into this direction, I will surely see monsters. And so I have to decide whether I'm willing to do that in case they happen to be... Okay, so apportation does still exist. They just don't give it to warpers anymore. Okay. Wait, do they? Cantrips and party tricks, right. Okay, warpers don't get it anymore. So, not having a port... Actually, I could have memorized it. That would have been clever. Means that I'm not so inclined to go hunting for the rune down here because it's much harder to pick up when you can't just snag it. I think I'm inclined to just leave this alone. I can find my third rune elsewhere, thank you very much. And right now I'm focused on getting out of the abyss. Yeah, you can really stop trying to hex this guy, International. He's really not gonna go for it. Let's eat some meat so I'm nice and full here. Oh, I didn't even notice the Apocalypse Crab. They're kind of scary with the Chaos branded attacks that they have. They can do some really nasty stuff to you. Paralysis and so on. Oh, Hellhogs. I saw H's and briefly just thought Raiju. What in the world? That's a lot of fireballs, guys. All right, let's idealize International, which is C, not B. Let's quaff another... Ugh, do I really want to quaff another haste? All right, the Hellhog's fireballs are on a breath timer, so we won't be getting a lot of fireballs right away. But there's a lot going on here. We're low on health, and we've just made a bunch of noise. So I think haste is... fine. The situation could spiral out of control pretty quickly, especially with these star-cursed masses about to start multiplying. We need to cut them down immediately. A world binder? Ugh. And of course he summons stuff from Elf. Very funny. Isn't this like the first monster we fought from Elf 3? We went into Elf 3, not the first monster from the End Vault, and then the first monster from the End Vault banished us to the Abyss, and now we're like fighting for our lives. So, okay. Maybe I should have treated my low MR a little bit more cautiously, huh? What are Worldbinder resistances like? Poison and negative energy. I mean, I could use like a lamp of fire or something. I think that's probably fine. Gets a Starcursed Mass as well as aiming at the Worldbinder, hopefully. Yeah, we did get him. Good. Oh, and she confused everything. That's great. Okay, we got, well, not all of the Starcursed Masses, I guess, but nearly. The Worldbinder is still alive and no longer confused. Wasn't there an Ancient Zyme somewhere? Like, we're sick from, I suppose, an Ancient Zyme, I don't see him. Was he up in the northeast, maybe? Yeah, okay. I could quaff curing here. We have a lot, and I'd like to get rid of this sickness so we can regenerate. I think that's a fine use of curing and a turn, which is the more important resource at the moment. International is kind of getting herself set on fire, which I don't really approve of. What happened to the World Binder? Is he here now? Where did he go? These guys are still summoned. So the World Binder must be around. Okay, well, let's animate dead these hellhogs at least. That'll give us a little bit more ammunition. An Eye of Draining. Alright, I'm just going to duck around the corner here. A Cyclops, not a huge problem, but I'd rather just not have to deal with it. Let's recall International so she doesn't die. Where, what? It said she's recalled. Ah, she showed up on the other side of this. Fenfolio, not that interesting. Potion of Flight, also not terribly interesting. But it is a good place to stand. Try to get us closer to the Hellion without immediately getting into his line of sight necessarily. There's the Ancient Zyme, but he's been confused, so not too much of a concern. Just walk away. Blizzard Demon down there. Ah! This wall just closed on me. Rude. Let's blink out of this. Don't like Wretched Stars either. Brilliance is not really going to help with anything in here, and I don't think invisibility is that great. We have Potions of Might. I'm definitely interested in considering spending one of those. I don't know that right now it's best. I think I would rather just sort of head east and get into a better tactical position. Hopefully better anyway. I guess really all I'm doing is just running away rather than tactically. I'm tactically improving my position by putting myself farther away from the enemies. Yeah, that's true, I guess. Alright, International, you were just getting in the way here. Let's idealize her. That heals her up. And now let's get closer so we can actually 2-on-1. She was getting in the way of my spear reaching. Which she is now doing again. Wow, I'm like way lower on health. This is going not well. Let's quaff Might. And heal wounds. Idealize her again. Get that heal in. She's still not doing great. Regen fell off. Okay, we got the Wretched Star. That's good. One more idealize. She is taking a beating. Alright, well, she died. Sorry. But she bought us some time. Right, let's see if we can just get away from that flayed ghost, or at least into a position where he won't be able to flay us from a distance. Do we have Dispel Undead? No, we have Control Undead. Okay. Well, I'm mighted though. I should be able to pummel a flayed ghost pretty quickly. Yeah. 3 Thrashing Horrors? That is too many. Let's get to a better position again. They're like trampling me and then retreating to where I can't see them. Alright, well they seem to have got... It's invisible. What? Who made you invisible? Did a chaos spawn attack you or something? Alright, got him. They move just like bats, which is not very predictable if you don't know what's going on. But actually, like, you can sort of manipulate them pretty well. They always move like... What is the deal? They move 3 times in a turn, and if they're 2 steps away from you... I don't totally understand, but... I feel like you can like step back, then attack, step back, then attack, and that like just sort of works, but I don't know why. Except that when you have a spear, instead of stepping back, you can just attack 2 tiles away, which is similar. Okay, well, let's quaff a potion of flight, since the... no thank you. Why have I not seen any portals out yet, by the way? I would really love one. This guy's MR is low, so let's try to just control him and get out of here. Yes. There, it killed the Raiju for me. A lightning spire is definitely part of some vault. If there's a blizzard demon as well, I'm guessing it's a lightning themed vault with water. I could try to go look up like all of the Abyss rune vaults and see if that is one of them, but again, I'm not really here for the rune. I just want to get out, and that means running when I can and fighting medium strength monsters when I have to. How much of this is real? Almost all of it. Really? Yeah, he's a ton of MR as well. Okay, so I'm considering a teleport here because this is not a great spot and these guys are not slow enough to outrun. Of course, you know, we can kill the World Binder, but what next? And since I don't know what I'm doing next, I should consider whether killing him is in fact the right first step. I have to say, it doesn't seem like it. One thing we have a lot of is Scrolls of Fear. We could maybe use that and scare off the merfolk, but we'd still have, you know... It only affects basically one of the monsters in sight, right? This one. This guy's not even real. We'd scare it away, but who cares? And the World Binder I'm not sure about, but I think we could just kill it if we wanted to. You know what, I'm just going to duck down this way. Oh, nice Mass Confuse. Yeah, let's try to finish off the World Binder. Okay. And then back in here. We'll just let International run interference for us. While we try to get away from the Bone Dragon, basically. Whoa. Alright, what's in here? I gotta know. A Sleeping Ifrit. So this has to be a vault. You don't see sleeping monsters in the Abyss unless they were placed by a vault. And given that it looks kind of big, could be a rune vault. Interesting. But excitingly, this is a door, and bone dragons cannot open doors. So I'm just going to come in here, shut the door, and let's recall International. She's trapped. Okay. Now, we're trapped in here with some not very nice monsters, of course. You know, we're not out of the worst of it. Let's quaff that Brilliance now before I cast, like, Regen. I guess that's worth something. Yeah, there's clearly some fire-themed stuff going on here with the lava, a Balrog, Freed, red ugly thing. This doesn't see invisible. This does, but does the Ifrit? No. So a potion of invisibility could help here. But I think probably just another potion of might is the way to go. I'm spending, I think, like... Oh, it's fire and ice themed. That's cute. All right, well, let's put on our protection of cold over the ring of ordinary protection, since we seem to be fighting some tough stuff in both elements here. And also a box of beasts. It's only juvenile. All right, clearly I have not kept my evocation skill up. But I'm really glad to have this door at my back. Okay, we found an exit. So... Great, let's go. The potion of might, you know, is sort of in a way wasted, but oh right, the ice devil actually followed me out. You know, as it happens, we didn't need to be super mighty because the fight was much shorter than it looked like it was going to be. But we had no guarantee that that was how things were going to go. So I'm fine with having used it, although I am a bit bummed that we're running so low on potions of might, which a moment ago we had a lot of. I don't think I'm going to try to tackle the end vault in this episode. I'm trying to keep my episodes down at like half an hour, where the last crawl series they were often an hour long, which I think is a bit of a slog. So we didn't make a lot of progress here, but we had some exciting combat opportunities thrust upon us in a way by the Deep Elf Sorcerer who cast us into the abyss. And next episode we should be able to clear out the Elf End Vault, I hope, or maybe reconsider it since we have such terrible MR. We could keep getting banished, and that's not very pleasant. I don't know. A question for next episode, though. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.